I've never played a Yakuza game before, and people always recommend Yakuza Kiwami 1, Yakuza 0, the Yakuza 7 turn-based RPG or whatever. But for me, years ago, I had seen the Yakuza, but samurai's feudal Japanish era. And that was kind of the one I always wanted to play, and I was going to wait for it. And its remaster, remake, whatever, finally came out this year, and I decided to pick it up, and I played through all of it, arguably. From start to finish, story-wise. I have to say that when you think about Yakuza games, or at least when I think about Yakuza games, I think about wacky side quests and mini games and Kiryu and Mashima and all of these like goons and wacky stuff. And I thought I was going to like it, but it turns out I really don't like anything the Yakuza series has to offer. So let's pull back and start it again. I had a pretty good time playing Like a Dragon Ishin. I played it for PS5, and it was pretty fun, all things considered. However, this will be the only Yakuza game that I ever play. I'll start by saying that I thought the story was amazing. It's actually the biggest reason I stuck with the game was that I thought the story of it was incredible, and I'll get into the story in a little bit, but I really like the characters, I really like the plot, I really liked how things were moving along and how they handled it. Unironically, if this was a movie or like a short TV show, I would love it. I would have absolutely loved watching it. But I didn't watch it. I played it. And playing Yakuza was pretty weird. The mini games and side content were okay at first, but I did get pretty bored of them fairly quickly. The combat of the game was also very similar. So it has these 4 combat styles: punching, shooting, sword fighting, and shooting. And it was kind of cool to go through some of these styles, but at the same time, combat really got repetitive. And even switching through styles didn't really make the game more enjoyable. I will say that I really did enjoy Wild Dance and Swordsman. I thought they were fun. I really kind of wished Gunslinger or Gun Sharpshooter, whatever it's called, was more interesting. Early on in the game, actually throughout most of the game, I was pretty fed up with the side quests. I didn't do most side quests, and a lot of these side quests were unskippable introduction-wise. You'll just be running around the city that you're in, Kyo, and cutscene will happen, and now you're just stuck in a cutscene that you can't get out of as they're trying to introduce you to a wacky side quest if you're interested in it. And most of the side quests I did do, and it's one of the bigger reasons I stopped doing them, was go talk to this person, go run to the other side of town and go get this object, go run across town and go fight this group of people. It wasn't very engaging for me. I wasn't having that much fun doing those side quests, and I was really way more interested in doing the plot and following along with the actual main events of the story. However, even just doing that, running around for most of the game, even just following the story, most of the game is running around the city and watching cutscenes, and also running into the same small group of enemies over and over again. And like I said, fighting them is fine at first, but the never-ending slog of entering in these combat sequences over and over again, and they eventually just don't even put up a fight. It's just super dull. It became too much for me. I was just trying to skip out on everything I could and just only focus on the story beats. At one point, this game offers me up a second house for farming and making food and doing this business transaction stuff, and I had absolutely no interest in it, and I was more than annoyed how much time was being taken up on this introduction of this side aspect of the game that I had absolutely no interest in. I do appreciate that if you don't want to do any of the extra crap in Like a Dragon Ishin, you don't have to, except for weapons and gear. Not upgrading your weapons or your gear can be very rough, especially since boss fights can be real damage sponges and damage dealers. I started the game out on hard mode and thought it was relatively fine difficulty-wise, but because I never upgraded any of my stuff, eventually I was dealing no damage to enemy bosses and they were practically one-shotting me. So I had to reduce the difficulty, and then as the game progressed, I reduced the difficulty again to easy mode because I didn't want to upgrade my gear. A lot of upgrades required specific farming or doing certain side quests, and I had no interest in doing it. It took me 20 hours to beat Like a Dragon Ishin, and most of that was me doing just the main story. So if you want to get a lot out of the game, Like a Dragon Ishin has a lot that you can get out of it, but for me, I just kind of wanted to play the narrative, and the narrative was more balanced around the idea that you'd be doing all of the side quests. I like Kyo, I like the city you're in. They did a really good job of making the city dense and feel like an actual city. Probably one of the most city-like cities I've ever experienced in a video game. Now, mechanically speaking, I don't know if this is because of the remake or if it's because I was on PS5, but there was a lot of input delay. I don't know how else to explain it. I would hit a button and then like a second or two later, my attack would go off. This happened more than once. I don't know if that's just naturally a problem this game has or if it's a specific problem that I experienced, if I was unique in this. Which, it didn't happen all the time, but it did happen a good amount of the time where I just wouldn't use certain moves or combos because it was safer to just constantly spam parry or block in case I messed up an input, or in case an input was delayed. The upgrade system's cool. What you do is you earn sort of permanent upgrades for a talent tree and then temporary upgrades for the talent tree that you can switch and swap around for. I like that. I like this orb system. I thought it was pretty nice. The division card system is cool once I figured it out, but I wasn't going to do any mini games or anything to make it more complex than what it is. But I feel like you could really get your teeth into customizing your different fighting stances and styles to really feel a little bit more unique and cooler than they already are. I will say, playing through this game, it feels like it's very reliant on you doing side quests and all of the farming content. It usually took me between 1 to 2 hours to complete a chapter, and all of the chapters mainly consisted with one mini-boss fight, one area where you fought a horde of goons, and one boss fight. And those 3 gameplay activities were then drenched in cutscenes and running around the city. I really wish I liked this game more. I don't think it's necessarily a bad video game, but I do think that what this game is and why people, my friends included, really like the Yakuza Like a Dragon series are just not the things that I look for and enjoy in a video game. I didn't care for the side quests. I really wanted to get in and get out. I thought the story was amazing, and if you made it all the way here, I can give you a little bit of what the story was like. It's like Samurai the Departed. You know, it's really cool. This, your mentor dies, and you go and join an elite group of samurai who you believe are the ones that killed your mentor. And so you're kind of going back and forth between these politics, the politics of Japan, and it gets really dramatic and really tense and really exciting to sort of politic and fight your way in and out of these situations. And I thought it was just really interesting and really fun, and I really liked it. I thought a lot of the characters had a lot of personality and were really enjoyable to be around and interact with. After playing Like a Dragon Ishin, I can confidently say that Yakuza games are just not for me, which is fine. I think there is a lot of good and a lot of value in this series. I'm just not interested in any of the things that make this game interesting outside of the story, which again, I thought was really good. It's just not a game for me. The story was incredible though, and I would definitely watch the movie version of it. For sure.